Damon again here with Complete Media, and today I am going to be talking about the Inno Beam LED by American DJ. So we had an event actually yesterday where the client had a couple moving heads to coincide with the DJ DJing. Now when we do an event like this, normally we have the moving heads set to music instead of DMXing. DMX is going to be the ultimate control because you can control the pan, the tilt, the intensity of the light, the gobo, a lot of different features with your light fixture. And but when the DJ is playing, it's hard for him to control all of those, and then bringing a light controller with saved scenes and shows really isn't the best. So normally we just set it to music. So I wanted to go over with you, just like I went over with the DJ, on how to set everything up. So that way, if you want to use sound activation, then you're able to do that without having to utilize full DMX. So as I previously mentioned, we are using the American DJ Inno Beam LED. There's a couple different reasons why I bought these fixtures. Normally I'm a Chauvet guy, but I saw these fixtures and there was two things that really stood out. Well, three things. The first reason is because of the Prism Effect. There are other fixtures out there that have a Prism Effect, but I really like this one because this one did 7 prisms when normally you can do 3 or 5 with other fixtures. The other reason is because of the frost feature. So what the frost feature does, let's say you have a standard circle. The frost will actually soften it. So instead of being a hard line, it'll be a softer line, so it just kind of fills it out more. And the third reason why I got it is because of the cost. The cost of a fixture that can give you a 7 prism as well as a frost feature is typically pretty high, but with American DJ, it actually wasn't that expensive. So I ended up purchasing 4 of these fixtures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through everything on how to utilize these fixtures, from turning them on all the way through to each of the menu options. So I'm going to go ahead and start turning these lights on right now. And as I plug in our IEC cables, you're going to, of course, hear the motor start turning, and you're going to see the mover actually start moving. And that's a good sign because that means the light's actually working. All right, so now we have all 4 of our movers operating right now. We'll move over here. I'm using the Pivo to track me, so that way we're able to see everything. So it might move back and forth, but we're not able to see all the fixtures. But what you're going to see is every single one of these movers is on, and eventually it will light up. And so I can tell right now with these 2 fixtures that these 2 here on the right are set to blackout mode. So if with these fixtures, if DMX goes out, which I'll go through the menu, but if DMX goes out, then what it does is it goes to blackout, so that way it doesn't turn on when you don't want it to. So it just goes to blackout mode, so that way it doesn't mess up a scene. These 2 are not set to that because right now there's no DMX plugged in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each menu option right now. So I'm going to turn this off. All right, so right now what you're looking at is the front of the Inno Beam LED by American DJ. And what you're going to see is this light right here is going to say master. That means obviously it's the master in controlling whatever light fixture, and then DMX, and that's not lit up, which means it's not receiving a DMX signal. So the other thing I'm going to show you is with these, they have a, not necessarily a screensaver option, but that's the best way to describe it, where it won't allow you to do something on accident. So as you push here, as you see, I push and nothing's happening. That's because it locks you out so you don't push a button on accident and change the scene or change the show. So what you need to do is hold down the menu button, and that is going to trigger your menu options. And now you can switch through menu and you can see all the different channel modes. So we'll go to the very first option, which is DMX address. So if you're going to utilize DMX, then you need to figure out which channel you're going to use for that address. We have this set to 60 because that's basically how we have it set up in Show Express for this particular fixture. So I'm going to get out of there. So you can either figure out what channel you want to go to and hit enter. Or if you want to back out, then you hit the menu. Enter saves, menu backs out. And that's really the only options under DMX. The next menu option is channel mode. So you can determine whether you want this to be 12 or 14 channels. Normally, I guess it depends on the fixture. With this one, I have a little bit more control with the 14 channel versus the 12 channel. So we opted to do 14 channels. Normally, if you have something small like this, it'll give you an option like on the control itself, pan and then micro pan and tilt and micro tilt. I'm not a big fan of utilizing those unless it's something very finite. So I usually just keep it on the more basic because all I need is typically pan and tilt. So that's your channel mode. Next is going to be show mode. And your show is the internal program of your light fixture. With the Inno Beam LED, it has a total of 4 shows. And this one is saved to show number 4 because I like show number 4 better than the rest of them. But you can save it to whatever show that you want and let it run its program. The next option is dimmer mode. So you can have standard dimmer, stage, TV, architect, and theater, and then standard mode. Normally we just keep it on standard mode because we don't have all of those other options. So we just keep it on standard mode. Next is going to be slave mode. So you have one or two different slave modes. So you can have slave mode 1 doing something different than slave mode 2. We normally don't really operate that way. We normally just do slave 1 and then master 1. Next is no DMX. This is what I mentioned earlier. So next you have no DMX. So what this is telling the fixture, if you lose DMX signal, what do you want this light fixture to do? So you can either have it go to whatever show it's set up for, you can have it go to blackout mode, or you can have it hold. And hold means whatever it was doing at the time DMX signal left, continue doing that. So if you have it doing a strobe and then DMX signal goes away, then it'll continue that strobe indefinitely or until it receives DMX signal or you turn the light fixture off. Normally what we do is have it go to blackout mode because we don't want to have this fixture on disrupting a particular show that we created versus having it black out, which means, yes, it'll mess up that show itself, that show that it's on, but it won't mess up any other shows after that. That's normally what we do is we put it on blackout mode, but I'll back out of here. Sound state is either turning on or turning off the internal microphone of your fixture. If you don't want the fixture to move to the beat of the music, basically do the internal show on its own, on its internal timing, then you turn it off. If you want it to go to the sound of the music, to the beat of the bass, then you turn it on. We normally leave it on, so we'll put that there. And then sensitivity, how sensitive you want this fixture to be for that bass hit. If you want it, if they're farther away from the bass, then you'll want it more sensitive. If they're closer, then you want it less sensitive. And then pan invert, and I guess go to both of these, tilt invert. So with these two fixtures here, if you want to have fixture on the left doing something opposite of the fixture on the right, then you invert the pan and tilt, so that way when the left is turning in, then the right will be also turning in, so they basically face each other. That's your invert. It's really hard to explain without really DMX controlling it, but that is what your inverts are. So when one, let's say the left is up, then the right will be down. When the left is right, then the right will be left, that kind of thing. So that's what the invert, pan, and tilt is. And then backlight. So we normally turn the backlight on just because it's easier to see, basically is what that is. And then We don't mess with the dimmer calibration, and then we don't really do an auto. If you want to test anything in the fixture, then you do an auto test. The fixture temperature, right now it's pretty cool, so it's not at risk of getting too hot and shutting down. Fixture time, how long we've been utilizing these fixtures. I believe that's in minutes, so 368 minutes. So fairly new, really haven't used it that much. Firmware version, so if they do come up with a firmware update, then we have the ability of getting that firmware, but I believe we're on version 1.0. And then reset, so if you're having any issues with this fixture, then you can reset it, and typically that brings everything back to back to factory, and might solve some of your issues. And then we're back to the DMX address. So those are the menu options for this fixture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I would set up 4 Inno Beam LED fixtures, with one being master, picking up sound mode, and then the other 3 in slave, doing what basically the first fixture tells it to do. So I'm going to go through the menu options of each fixture. We'll start with fixture number 1. We don't care about DMX address. We don't care about channel mode. We care about show mode. I like show 4, so we make sure that's on show 4. Dimmer mode, don't really care. It's on standard, so we keep that on standard. Slave mode, we leave that alone. No DMX. If there's no DMX, we want it to go to show, which is doing right here. And sound state, we put that on, and then put sound sensitivity to 50, because that's typically kind of the sweet spot, so we keep it right there. And that's pretty much it. I don't touch anything else. The next fixture, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to, this is fixture number 2. It's on show 4 right now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to not care about DMX address, not care about channel mode, not care about show mode, dimmer mode, don't care, slave, don't care, no DMX. I'm going to turn that to blackout. So now that fixture is not going to do anything, just like these other 3 fixtures. Sound state, don't care, don't care, don't care. So the main thing that I want to do with each one of these fixtures is make sure that the DMX, no DMX, is set to blackout. Like that one's set to blackout, we're good to go. And I go to the last fixture. I'm going to go to no DMX, which I just passed, so I'll go back. No DMX, enter, blackout. So now they're all set to blackout. So what is happening right now is that we have one fixture that is on show 4 in sound mode. The other 3 fixtures are in basically no DMX mode, which means we're in blackout mode right now. And so they're all sitting there in blackout mode. And now I am going to go around the back, and I'm going to plug in our DMX cables, which I have all our DMX back here. I'm going to plug them in, and as I plug them in, you're going to see the fixtures start to turn on. All right, so now I am at the back of the fixtures. This is fixture number 1. I'm going to take my DMX cable, and I'm going to plug the out of fixture 1 to the in of fixture 2, and you're going to see it's going to fire up right away. Then I'm going to take the out of fixture 2 to the in of fixture 3. And lastly, I'm going to take the out of fixture 3 and put it in the in of fixture 4. Now what you're going to notice is that these lights are kind of out of sequence right now because they're trying to catch up with the first one. I've noticed just with this fixture in particular, this Inno Beam LED from American DJ, this is the only one that seems to do that. A lot of the other fixtures that I've used, as soon as you plug in the DMX, it picks it up right away and it catches up instead of slowly getting to the right position like this fixture is doing. It gets there right away. But as you can see, they're all moving in sequence. And these two are what I was talking about before. These are standard pan and tilt, and these are inverted pan and tilt. You can see how these two fixtures are going both to the right, and these two fixtures are going both to the left. So they're doing the same pattern, they're just doing it in opposite directions. So they're going like this and out instead of both going like this. So this is how you set up your Inno Beam LED from American DJ in master slave mode with no DMX controller.